Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Aaron Rose with Gulf Coast RV Professionals here in my backyard office in my tent that I got here just for filming videos and exploring Mobile, Alabama and the Gulf Coast community with y'all that's going to be coming here soon. I'm just shooting this video because I really haven't introduced myself or my business since I've had it operating for last year and pretty much all of 2022, even though we did help out about 4 or 5 different RVers. So let me explain what is going on and what's my motivation for doing this. So 2020, COVID goes crazy. I've just started in the RV industry. I'm doing all my product knowledge research, starting to get to know the local area and what everyone's doing. And then all of a sudden, something crazy happens. So supply shortages, issues regarding manufacturing, and all of a sudden you can't get RVs. But then you go look at, the RVIA statistics in 2022, they made over 600,000 RVs when I think the yearly average was somewhere around 400,000. I'll do a more in-depth video about that, but that's just ballpark figures. That should be close enough. The point is, in 2022 alone, they made an additional 200,000 units. And the factories weren't that much bigger, they didn't open that many more plants, and they didn't have that many more workers. So if you were buying an RV in the last couple of years during this whole COVID crisis, you know what I'm talking about. You've read the forums. The quality control has just been horrible. And I've personally been involved in some of that, and I hate to say that in terms of, representing products that were supposed to be good and end up being, endless money pits, never leaving the shop. And it's really tuned me into what I call the new paradigm of camping, because you're going to have a post-COVID camper and you're going to have a pre-COVID camper. So post-COVID, all the manufacturers right now are in crisis mode. They're trying to build their quality control, and they're doing it now off all the profits they've made for the last couple of years during COVID. I mean, record breaking. I mean, you have to understand, the people who own the industry, as I call it, of making recreational vehicles, I mean, they're multi-billionaires. I mean, it is a global industry now, especially since Thor got involved with that European company and they bought them out. I mean, it's insane the amount of money that is involved with making RVs. But when it comes to the actual RV community, which is like me and you getting out in nature, there's been a little bit of a disconnect, because it's no longer about keeping up with the Joneses, okay? Yes, it is nice to see the new diesel pusher or the new fifth wheel that might have, an in-motion satellite, or might have a heated tile floors, which is great and all. But when you're looking at, all of the economic conditions, you've got inflation, you've got interest rates higher than ever. I actually Googled this before I went out and started filming this video here, just off of Bank of the West or SX Bank. They do a lot of RV lending. So for an RV that costs between $150,000 to $2 million. Now this is the advertisement rates are promoting, which is, the best ones you can get. So a short-term 5-year loan, 5.64%. Now, when I was selling, 2-3 years ago on the dealership side, that was a high rate. So people, were having 15-20-year loans. They were putting, 10-20% down. I mean, they were getting high 3s, low 4s all day, every day, and that was the better rates. And then if you had, substandard credit or some issues to work on, 5.64, 6%, that was considered a bad rate. And that was on a 15-20-year loan. Let me tell you what SX Bank says about that. I mean, a 20-year loan, 7.44% is the best you're going to get right now. A 15-year loan, 7.29. And that's for stuff that's over $150,000. If you're looking at the market right now, if you're a new camper or you're trying to find a camper, odds are you're actually looking at, stuff that's a little bit more affordable, because you've got groceries, you've got travel expenses, you've got campgrounds costing more. So for anything that costs under $50,000, or at least the RV loan value is under $50,000, the best rate you're going to get right now with SX Bank on a 15-year loan is 8.44%. So things are not looking good when it comes to financing an RV. So being a broker, what does that mean? Because there's going to be different life situations going around all the time. Some people, have been benefiting. They were smart. They knew the financial situation beforehand, so they're actually looking to buy RVs right now. And then on the flip side, you have local independent owners of RVs who have had a really nice rig. Maybe something's happened in life and the stock market's taking a dump, or they're just no longer into camping, but they have this really nice motorhome, they have this really nice fifth wheel, and they need to sell it, but they go to a dealership to trade it in, or see if they'll just buy it outright. And because dealerships in the RV industry is in consolidation mode right now, no one's wanting to give them anything for their camper. I was talking to a buddy who's still working at a dealership, and he was saying a guy bought a motorhome 4 months ago for $140,000, brand new. He goes to trade it in, and they only offered him $84,000. I mean, just a slap in the face. I mean, and what's a guy supposed to do like that? Because right now, what the RV industry is kind of promoting is, hey, I'm sorry, but you're buried. I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do for you. We're all feeling the effects. Well, that's not true, because a lot of times you go to these dealerships, and there's good dealerships out there, but you'll go to these dealerships and they'll say, oh, well, that's the best we can do. That's the local market. If you don't like that, you can sell it yourself. Or, we can do consignment, but, you tell us what you want and we'll keep all the rest. And not everyone does that, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of stuff like that going on right now where people taking advantage of. So that is really what inspired me to transition from being more, heavy set in the RV industry just to being a small independent broker, where basically there's local people who have fantastic RVs, especially if it's pre-COVID. That's ideally what I'd like to work with moving forward, just because, every RV is hand built to some degree. So you can find a 2022, a 2023 that might be built very well, but odds are if it was built before COVID, it was a more assurative process. Everything was built at the same time by the same people. There was no supply crunches or rushes or back orders or anything like that. So odds are the RV you're looking at, if it was built before 2020 or right there before COVID started, you're going to be buying a good product, and it's been owned for a couple years. All the breakdowns and the shimmy ups that happen from owning an RV for the first 6 months to a year in that break-in period, they've already been solved. And you're going to be helping out a local owner, because someone who's actually invested into the community, invested into the local RV market, who's taking care of it, it's their pride and joy, and just for whatever reason, could be financial, could be they're getting out of the hobby and they're switching to something else, they're looking to sell. There are plenty of people like that here in the Mobile, Baldwin County, Gulf Coast area that need exposure, and that's what my goal is to do as a broker, is just to connect the local community together. And what I hope to be doing here pretty soon is, once the family gets up and everything like that, we're going to be testing out this tent, doing a little review of it, and then going and tent camping, because I believe there's going to be a renaissance of the old school primitive camping going on right now, just because of the expenses. Camping is a fantastic hobby. Getting out there in nature, getting a little break from it all, and also resource management. You learn, what you need to bring, what you don't need to bring. Hopefully you incorporate some of that stuff at home. Maybe you don't. That's up to you. The point is, 2023 for Gulf Coast RV professionals is going to be about getting out there, getting some exposure, letting local owners know that, hey, there's someone out here for you guys that's here to protect the community and keep the money where it's supposed to be, between the buyer and the seller and the RV, not 10, 15 different middlemen, finance companies, technicians, service managers. How long the list goes that goes into buying an RV when you do it the traditional way. So let's keep it between the community. Let's connect with one another. And hey, here's to a great 2023.